You ready?
Yeah.
Ready? All right, we will call the regular meeting of March 12th, 2024 to order. Would you stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please? Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Douglas,
Here.
Ms. Hayes, Mr. Horvath,
Here.
Mrs. Sensi,
Here.
and Mr. Thompson.
Here.
Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll move.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of February 20th, 2024?
I'll move.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Mrs. Sensi,
Yes.
Mr. Thompson,
Yes.
Mr. Douglas,
Yes.
and Mr. Horvath.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the special meeting of February 21st, 2024?
I'll move.
Second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Thompson,
Yes.
Mr. Horvath,
Yes.
Mr. Douglas,
Yes.
and Mrs. Sensi.
Yes.
Motion passes.
When we begin board member reports with a moment of silence.
It is always sad to learn of someone's passing, especially when it is a member of our Madison family. Recently, we learned of the passing of Christy McHugh, a retired Madison teacher. Christy passed away recently in Charleston, New Hampshire, where she had recently moved to be close to her daughter and her family. Christy was a free spirit who lived by her own rules. She was an intervention specialist with the district for 21 years and retired in 2011. She is remembered by her colleagues as creative and caring. Christy will be missed by her son Christopher and daughter Alice, as well as her grandchildren and many friends and family. Her husband preceded her in death in March 2017. All of us at Madison Schools extend our deepest and most sincere sympathy to Christy's family and friends. And I'd just like to say that, I sometimes read these because I have a personal connection to the person, and I worked with Christy my entire time that she was up at the high school. She was a co-teacher in a lot of the English classes and one of the English teachers. We were just talking about her sometime over January or so, and we remember her just coming in one day in one of the classes, co-teaching and playing her guitar and singing to the kids, and she just lived life that way, and found the joy however she could, and was just very creative and liked to write. And as I read things about her on Facebook, from a lot of her colleagues, she just was a very neat person to be around and know. So she will be missed.
Are there any board members wishing to give a report this evening?
What? No, I wanted to say that with the strategic planning, we're gonna have those results. What, the next month or so?
Yeah, I'm going to talk about that in my report.
Oh, okay, well, I don't understand. But no, I just hope that, we find sustainable solutions for and I know we will, but it's gonna take involvement of the community, and because we all have skin in the game to make sure that the buildings hold up, which is key to the education of the students. So, and last I checked, we don't have a tree in the back that has money on it. So, we need to work together to make these solutions stick and for the long haul. And that's all I got.
All right, anyone else? All right, reports and recommendations of the treasurer.
Okay, first up, I would like to ask for the recommendation to approve the resolution to accept the amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission. So we sent in our tax budget. They formally approved it by the Lake County Auditor's Office, and they sent it back. Now we just have to pass the resolution and send it back to them that we accept their acceptance of the resolution.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Horvath,
Yes.
Mrs. Sensi,
Yes.
Mr. Douglas,
Yes.
and Mr. Thompson.
Yes.
Motion passed. Next, I would like to recommend the approval of the financials for February 2024.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Mrs. Sensi,
Yes.
Mr. Thompson,
Yes.
Mr. Douglas,
Yes.
and Mr. Horvath.
Yes.
Motion passes. Next, I would like to recommend the approval of the listed then and now statement on the board agenda.
I'll move.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Sensi,
Yes.
Mr. Horvath,
Yes.
Mr. Douglas,
Yes.
and Mr. Thompson.
Yes.
Motion passes. And finally, I would like to recommend the approval of the following donations. A generous donation of gift cards from Pulp Madison to Nutrition Services to be used as prizes for National School Breakfast Week. A generous donation of $200 from an anonymous donor to Madison Middle School to be used for Principal's Snack Fund. A generous donation of clothing from Park United Methodist Church to North Elementary School to be used for students in need. A generous donation of $160 from Spectacles Book Club to North Elementary School Angela Fund. A generous donation of $20 from an anonymous donor to Madison High School Family and Consumer Sciences class to be used for food supplies. And a generous donation of Eclipse glasses for every student in the district from Dr. Michael Baker of Eye Doctors of Madison to be used for the upcoming eclipse viewing.
I'll move.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes, I just want to correct the,
Angel fund.
it should be Angel Fund. It's not the Angela Fund. I do not have any fund.
That's when, after I read that, that's.
Like,
What is the Angel Fund?
That is what would wipe out lunch debt. And she's actually going to talk about that in her report tonight.
All right.
Maybe that's what happened to the money tree Brian was talking about.
Yeah.
It all went into the angel fund.
And I do want to say thank you to Dr. Baker, along
That's
with
huge.
the eclipse glasses. He's doing some information that he's providing to the students and school community. So thank you to Dr. Baker for that generosity.
Now, these glasses I hear about, I mean, are they just look like
They're paper glasses.
they're paper glasses?
I actually have a copy of one, a
Like
piece of
movie
one in
theater
by my.
Oh, movie theater glass, okay.
Yeah. They're just to protect your eyes so that if you look up at the eclipse, you're not going to damage your eyes.
Cool.
Roll call?
Mr. Horvath,
Yes.
Mrs. Sensi,
Yes.
Mr. Douglas,
Yes.
and Mr. Thompson.
Yes.
Motion passes, and that concludes my treasurer's report.
Reports of the administrative team.
Well, I am going to start this evening with our Nutrition Services Director, Kelly Kaminsky, who is going to report about nutrition services in the district. Kelly has worked with us since August. We were very fortunate to find her. The ESC of the Western Reserve has helped to find her for us. And she is, spent this year looking and analyzing, but she's wanting to make some
Thank you.
changes. And she's going to share, I think one of those things is, more types of fresh type of cooking. And she's actually got something for us to taste and share.
You have much of them here. Right
A
there.
little bit of extra.
I know this is gonna make me more hungry.
You can have mine.
Pass out some snack. It's a salsa. She's gonna tell us.
So this is black bean and corn salsa. There's tomatoes, green peppers, red onions. The dressing has honey, some apple cider vinegar, olive oil. There is cilantro, so I'm sorry if there's anyone who's offended by cilantro. Parsley, garlic, ancho chili powder. What else?
I'm taking.
I think that,
Me and
It's
you are
about it.
soulmates.
I know you said Mexican, not good, I think. I was like, I know you said you weren't a huge fan. I'm gonna move over here. So, as Angela mentioned, I'm Kelly Kaminsky. Let's see. Doesn't like me. Usually I'm pretty tech savvy. Oh, you did me wrong, Dave. You wouldn't mind just next button on.
Yeah.
All right, so you guys all have a copy of this, so you can go to the next. Okay. Oh, weird shadow it's got. That's besides the point. So again, I'm Kelly Kaminsky. I'm the Director of Nutrition Services. I've been working in school nutrition for about 7 years now. Prior to coming to Madison, I actually was the food service director for Lorain City Schools. I had been in that role for about 3 years. And I have also worked in clinical nutrition. I'm a registered dietitian. I've been a registered dietitian for a little over 10 years now. And since, we work in education, I figured I'd give you some of my credentials. I have Bachelor of Science in Nutrition from Case Western, and I have a Master of Nutrition and Dietetics from Louisiana Tech University, so down south. My team is really who I really want to thank. I've got a great group of women that do an excellent job every day feeding our kids. It's really not about what I do, it's what they do. They're the ones that are in the kitchens working hard day in and day out. I'm always happy to jump in and I do that plenty. But it really would not be worthwhile to not mention everything that they do. So, all right, who mind going to the next one? So, meal participation. So I've broken it down for you guys. Looking at February, and then the next slide, we're going to go year to date. Angela is used to kind of my format of presentations here. I give one of these to her every month, but just some kind of high points. So looking at this February versus last February, we've had an overall increase of participation at breakfast of 2% or 1.9%, almost 2%. The only building that's a little bit lower than last year is the middle school. That's been a little bit of a trend the past couple of months. Still trying to figure out exactly what that reasoning is, but overall, I'm really happy to see that we've increased participation year over year. Looking year to date, thank you, Dave, we have a 3.1% increase year over year. So again, that is in every building. We've seen an increase. And as I get a little bit further, you'll see that I think a big reason for that is that we have more kids that have qualified for free and reduced. But it's really great to know that we are getting food into the kids' mouths every morning. I'd love to see this be a little bit higher even, but we've got 18.2% participation district-wide. That leaves a lot of room for improvement, which we'll touch on with kind of my National School Breakfast Week stuff that we'll talk about in a little bit. But overall, we're doing a lot better even since last year. If you're more of a chart person, I know sometimes it makes it a little bit easier for me to see and kind of understand. You can kind of see the participation month to month over this past school year. To be expected, and you can kind of see that all of the lines kind of look similar, even though they're at various amounts. You see a rise in that September, October timeframe. You see it start to dip off November, December, January. Snow days, you've got kids getting the flu, COVID, whatever sickness is going around that week. Or just, hey, it's a little too snowy out, I don't want to come to school today. And then you kind of start to see it rebound around February, March timeframe. Again, that's really to be expected, and that's the trend that we've seen this year. Looking at lunch, year over year, we have a 4.2% increase from last February to this past February here, which again, we've seen increases at all of our building levels. really want to highlight that at North, we have almost 55% of our kids eating lunch every single day, which is a really big number. Those ladies really rock it out over there. And that's a very, very busy cafeteria. We've done some things in the cafeteria to help try and streamline those kids. We previously had the fruit and veggie bars that were all self-serve. The kids were reaching in, scooping for themselves, and you could just see how much that slowed the lines down. And so we've gone to where we bag, whether it be the carrots or celery or anything, to make it a little bit easier to grab and go for those the little guys to be able to reach in, not cross-contaminate. I will say the one day I was over there and helping serve on the line, and I see a little kid go and reach in and grab this, and I'm like, okay, we need to make a change. And so, I love the self-serve, be able to, hey, grab more carrots if I like more carrots, or a little less celery if I like a little less celery. But it's really streamlined the process. They've seen the line speed get a lot better over there. And again, that cross-contamination piece is huge. The ladies like it a lot better. The line stays a lot cleaner. You're not finding those road carrots and everything on the line at the end of the day. But again, we really have great participation overall. The high school is our lowest, 38.1%. That's an age group thing. It's kind of just across the state. You see high school participation is going to be a little bit less. I'd love to see that jump up. Which one of the ways I'd like to see that is starting to introduce some different food items like what you guys have in front of you. So some of those fresher, this one is a vegetarian option. It's not considered vegan because there is honey in it. But just getting some different ideas and different items in front of our kids that maybe they haven't had in recent years. I'm not saying that every kid is going to be like, yes, black bean and corn salsa, that's my favorite. But if we can appeal to a few more kids here and there every day, it really does add up. All right, year to date. So we have a 5.4% participation increase year over year. Again, that we've averaged above that 50% at North, in the 40s at both middle and south. And then again, that high school, we're right at the cusp there of 40%, but really, again, that increase year over year is just huge. We're feeding a lot more kids every single day.
And I'd like to say with reduced staff, only because it's hard, I'm going to talk about it in my report again, the need for, some of these positions.
Absolutely.
Reduce staffing, but she's down.
We are down 3 regular staff members right now. I was gonna say I've got a slide for that too. You never want me to go just off of memory, but yeah, right now actually my only fully staffed building is North. Everywhere else is working with reduced staff, and they're doing a great job. But it's not sustainable long term. I really want to try and get some help in there. Because really with the increased numbers, it just puts more on them on a daily basis. And I know when I've been over in the various buildings helping, for a day, couple days, whatever it is, I go home and I'm tired. My body hurts. And I know it's the same thing for my staff. So again, just a graph kind of showing that similar curve. The big drop in December there, I do want to point out for the high school, is they've got their finals, and so they have a much lower participation those couple of days, and so it does skew the data a little bit. You see it kind of rebounds back though. So eligibility, and I know Angela shared this not too long ago, but as of today, we have just shy of 50% of our district qualifies for free and reduced meals. We're at 49.16%. And those numbers are quite literally as of this afternoon. And I know that 50% mark is a big one for some different things that I'm particularly interested, summer meals and things that we could qualify for. So, it really is beneficial for everybody in the district to fill out that free and reduced application. Even if these families have no intention of ever getting lunch at school, if they qualify, it could really be a help to the district. So I did want to call that out. We do have 1,046 students who are directly certified. So I'm sure you may not be, familiar with that term. So direct certification is a process that is run through the state. The state has a website, a portal that I think myself, Angela, Sarah, all have access to. And I go in weekly and I run basically a match. And so that pulls students that are foster, that qualify for SNAP, that qualify for Medicaid. It's not all Medicaid students. I do want to call that out, but it pulls the data and it links up. It's a secure website through the ODE or DEW, but it automatically pulls that information, matches them up. And so those students don't have to fill out a free and reduced application. They automatically qualify for free and reduced meals. Once I make that match, I send a letter home letting the families know, hey, you qualify for breakfast for lunch. If only one student in the family qualifies on direct certification, it extends that to all of the other students in that household. So, it's really important we have our families matched up correctly at Infinite Campus because we want to be able to extend those benefits to as many students as can qualify. So just to break that down a little bit, we have 947 that qualified for free under direct certification. You'll see that percentage 37.94. An ISP, that is identified student percentage. That is a number that is really important because if we were interested in looking at CEP, the community eligibility provision, where all of our students could eat for free, that number is the key number on how much reimbursement we get from the state. Unfortunately, while we do qualify, to make sure that we're making a feasibly responsible decision and making our program self-sustaining for the future, it needs to be higher, more closer to 60% in all reality. So it's a great number to look at and pay attention to, but right now we're not where we would want to be to make sure that the program could be self-sustaining if we were to go that way. We do have 99 students that qualified under direct certification for reduced price meals. That being said, any student that qualifies for reduced price meals this year going also into next year, they pay nothing for their breakfast or their lunches due to the budget bill from the state earlier this year, or I guess technically in 2023. So while they still categorically are reduced and we track them that way, I have to claim them that way, they eat for free, which is a great thing. And that's one of those reasons I think we've seen a lot more participation this year because we have a lot more kids that don't have to pay anything for their meals, which is great. Next slide for me. All right, so after all that positivity, my least favorite slide is our negative accounts. So we have about $6,500 worth of negative balances in the district in the food service accounts. So that is meals that have been charged and not paid off. I will say we did have an improvement of $760 over the month of February, which is great. I'm thinking the texts and the emails of, hey, we've got National School Breakfast Week. Make sure you got your accounts up to date might have helped that a little bit. But we do have this pretty hefty negative balance.
And this is carried over from years.
So yes, and
Every student, all buildings.
so and I will say, I have that. I was like, wait a second. So I put it on the slide or I had it in my notes. When looking back to August 1st of this, past year, there was negative $7,300 that was carried over from last year. So we've seen some fluctuations. That was again August 1st. So I know there were some parents paid some stuff off before school even started. But we had a significant balance that was carried over from last year. So at the beginning of May, we'll be using any of the funds that are in those angel funds that we kind of referenced earlier. And if you want to go to my next slide, it'll kind of paint a better picture there. We'll be using any of those angel fund balances to pay off the negative balances that we currently hold at the various buildings. You'll see the only building that's going to make really a significant impact at is North.
Yep.
Other than that, we have to apply them equitably. So, it might just be a few cents here and there for some of these kids. But after we apply those angel funds, the remaining negative balances will be assessed to the school fees. So going into next school year, every student will start off with a zero balance in their food service account, but that does not wipe away that debt that those students have. So I've been sending, weekly text message, email, phone robo blasts to any of the families that have these negative balances to try and help them pay them off. Any of the families that have a really extreme negative balance of greater than $100 have had letters sent home to them, saying, hey, reach out to me, let's get a payment plan in place, let's get something going to get this paid off. Hate to say it, without great response back from those families, but making a valiant effort at least. So again, North is looking great in terms of what theirs will be able to pay off. Other than that, minimal amounts, and the rest will get assessed back to those students. Yes,
But we still let the kids eat, right?
yes.
Yes.
We don't ever have any stoppage at all, right?
The high school level, we let them charge up to 3 lunches. Every other building, they can charge unlimited.
Okay. So at the high school, there are 3 lunches,
Correct.
and after that,
They're reminded, hey, you gotta get money on your account. You gotta pay that back. Any other questions? All right, so March menus, just a little snippet. The picture at the bottom there are some salads that we served at North last week. Last week was National School Breakfast Week, as I've mentioned. March is also National Nutrition Month. I'd like to point out, guess in my own favor, tomorrow is National Registered Dietitian Day. But we also
Perfect, you're presenting.
it worked out great. March 1st was National Peanut Butter Lovers Day, and the 16th is National Corn Dog Day.
Yes,
we
it
do
is.
we have corn dogs on the menu later this week in honor of that. So I do like to try and highlight some of the food holidays on the menu each month. If I can work it into the menu, I always try and do that. It's fun. It's a great way to, point those out. And every food, I swear, has a holiday. So if you're ever curious, look it up.
With peanut butter on your corn dog.
March didn't have a lot of great ones. I'll be honest with you. I was a little disappointed. But a couple other menu highlights too. We do have fresh fruits and vegetables available at every building every day. Those aren't necessarily highlighted on the menu. We usually have a canned fruit and a hot vegetable that I call out on the menu. But there's always fresh fruits and fresh vegetables on the line. And we kind of do that where it's not specifically menued, because we all know fresh produce goes bad a little bit faster. Some do better than others. So it gives some flexibility to say, hey, we got to use the celery today. We can hold the broccoli till tomorrow, or whatever the case may be. And we do have a variety of milk every day as well. We offer white, chocolate, and strawberry. The white is reduced fat, and the chocolate and strawberry are fat-free. And that is all per the National School Lunch Program and School Breakfast Program regulations. Next slide. So staffing, that one again, we've got openings for an assistant manager at the high school, cashier at the middle school, cashier at South, and then substitutes. I have actually had a couple of interviews and a little bit of interest, so I'm working through a couple people right now, which is great. But I'm, always, I hate to say it, always hiring. Love to get some substitutes on rotation, because we really feel it when somebody's not there. Next slide. So some nutrition just updates in general. Staff training. So I held staff training at the beginning of the school year, back to school meeting, really to just introduce myself to my staff. But then I had a all staff training in January where we covered civil rights, offer versus serve, looking at the menu for next year, getting feedback from the staff on what they might like to see, what's worked, what hasn't. And then I've had multiple meetings with managers really in the fall, again, getting to know Madison. One of the big projects I'm working on right now is Healthy Pro. And so Healthy Pro is a nutrition menu planning software, does nutrient analysis. They've got a website, an app. So I actually have my first onboarding training with that tomorrow. But that's going to be a great resource for us. Previously, we've been using NutriSlice, and that while NutriSlice gets menus out to the parents, it doesn't have all of that nutrient analysis, reporting, things that I find really important, because one of the big things that I know is we are due for an administrative review for nutrition services next year. And I am a stickler. I'm a rule follower. I want my menus to be perfect, T's crossed, I's dotted. And so having a good nutrient analysis software will really be a big benefit to that. The state, can come in and say, hey, you guys are meeting all of the regulations, and there are a lot of them. I have a master's degree in nutrition and dietetics, and school lunch stuff is is really a mess of its own sometimes. It takes a lot of learning. And our staff members we've had for 20 years, I've come in and said, hey, we can't do this or can't do that. And they're like, really? I'm like, yep, it's in the rules because they're hard. I hate to say it, the National School Lunch Program, USDA, makes them a little bit difficult to understand. But I am excited to get started with Healthy Pro and get that out with our new menus for next year. Because it's really, I think, going to be a great benefit to our families for especially, again, allergens, carb counting, any sort of special diets that might come up that we need to follow. It can really give detailed information to the school nurses, to parents, anybody who's interested. All right, budget updates. So our cost per meal for food, paper, supplies, and chemicals, we're at $1.52 per meal, which I'm very happy with. We had been running about $1.40 up through last month. We've seen a little bit of an increase, which I was fully expecting. We had a commodity dollars that come from the state every year, and there was a kind of a true up that happened at the end of December. And so we ended up having a big decrease in the amount of commodity dollars we actually had. So now that just means that we're paying full price for our case of chicken as opposed to a slightly discounted price. Or there's certain items that we only pay just a processing fee of $3 for. And now we can't even get some of those items. So we've had to adjust on some of the items that we're purchasing. We should not and will not see any sort of major change to the menus because of it, because everything pretty much has a retail option that we can purchase through GFS. But we did have to make some changes. Our produce primarily comes from commodity dollars. We had to transition, getting that from GFS instead of a different produce provider.
That's Gordon's Food Service, right?
GFS, Gordon Food Service, yes. But right now, we remain self-funded. I expect to be that way for as long as I'm in this role. But right now we have an unencumbered balance in the food service fund of $76,132. And year to date, we've received $532,502 in federal reimbursements. So, we're doing great this year. I'm actually looking at replacing some aging equipment in the kitchens because we do have a bit of a balance here where, if we don't start to spend that down, the state will come in and say, you have to spend it down. So I'd rather get that ball rolling before the state's like, hey, you got to.
And you can only spend it on nutrition.
There's very
services.
specific things that the 006 fund can be used
No,
for.
you can't fix a road.
If it's over the kitchen, it's over the kitchen.
Do they have, at Auburn, do they have like culinary type studies?
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, I think
Could
so.
we do like co-ops or something with the kids there where they can help backfill some of these positions?
I don't know.
But we
I mean, it'd
have
be like-
had.
I was gonna say, I know Auburn has a
It'd
culinary.
be like
program.
hands-on learning for them, like like
Right,
in college, like for engineers, you go through stints of co-ops
Right.
and intern, like
Yep.
we do the same with,
yeah,
like on some type of rotation to help bridge the gap for you.
yeah. I can go down and see. I really don't know.
And we have in the past had students at the high school
Okay,
volunteer in
okay,
the kitchen,
okay.
Good
to know.
Especially if they're interested in like what
It's been
you-
some years.
you've
but-
studied or,
Yeah.
applications.
Absolutely. No, that's a great idea. Thank you.
Yep.
And then what else? Oh, we just received another round of supply chain funding. So I don't know if you guys were aware of this in the past few years since COVID. There have been a few rounds of supply chain assistance funding. So that is dollars coming from the state and ultimately from the USDA to help offset the costs of minimally processed items. So your minimally processed items, those are going to be your fresh fruits and vegetables, your dairy products. A chicken patty is not minimally processed. You want to think of things that are essentially as close to their raw form as they can be. So we received almost $68,000 just a few weeks ago to be able to use towards those items, so which is great. We actually still have a little bit in our bucket from the last one, which was last March, I believe. So I've got, keeping track of all of that to make sure that we are allocating the dollars correctly. Because again, cross my T's, dot my I's. I do not like when the state comes in and says something, is wrong. So my goal is to make it so it's always right.
Let me answer a quick question.
Yes.
Like with spring break coming up in a few weeks, during that week, we don't ever help kids with food, because especially the breakfast, it seems like there's a lot of kids need breakfast and
Yep.
lunch, and they might not be able to get it at home and stuff. But we don't offer anything like that, do
We
we?
don't. I know in terms of reimbursable meals, that's not allowable by the state. During COVID, it was different. There
Yeah.
was allowances for that, but that's not something that we've done or, you know, I haven't heard from any of the students' families in that way, but that's something we could definitely look into, but it would have to be, I don't know if that would be approved to be able to pay for it out of food service without getting reimbursements.
And do we ever like give groceries out to kids?
That's on 68
I was gonna
hours.
say
Right.
68 hours of
And six-
hunger.
And 68 hours of hunger, and that's been an ongoing program here.
Do we have a lot of
Madison.
kids participating in that?
I don't oversee that, Dave. do you?
Yeah, it's up to 25 students per building in all of the buildings.
We
And
have about
so,
100 kids.
yeah, about 100 kids that get a take-home bag of non-perishable foods. I think they take it on Thursday or Friday, and it's available for them over the weekends.
And plus families are served at the Madison Food Center, I'm assuming with kids, you know.
It still breaks your heart.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, I just, not their fault.
Absolutely.
It's never their fault, and I just, it breaks your heart that if there's one kid that's hungry, it
Yep.
should just never be that way.
Absolutely.
And we're supposed to be such a rich country and have one kid hungry.
And food insufficiency is
Yeah.
a huge thing.
Yes.
It's huge.
It is in Lake County. It
Yeah.
is.
And I-
We've looked at it.
I will say, not for spring break, but for over summer break, there is gonna be the summer EBT program. I was just on a webinar last week. I need to get my details in order on that, but I'm going, again, I said, if I'm going off of memory, you never want to trust that. I think it's $120 per student that qualifies for free and reduced meals that they'll get on an EBT card at the beginning of summer. So as soon as I have my details straight, that information will be sent out to everybody in the district. And that is, like I said, for free and reduced, anybody who qualifies before the end of the school year. So again, if there's families out there that haven't applied, you can apply up until the last day of school. So there are some programs that do try to help bridge those gaps too.
I'm just curious.
Absolutely.
Good question.
Wellness policy, I did just want to put this up here. It is in our policies. And it's something that I really have not had a great chance to look into. It's one of my ongoing to-do list items of looking at it, seeing if there needs to be revisions, and making sure that we really are up to date with it. But, wanted to include it in here so you guys have it in front of you. We do make sure that anything we're selling does follow smart snack guidelines. And then obviously, like I said, I'm big on making sure we meet the requirements for National School Breakfast, National School Lunch. All right, so National School Breakfast Week was last week. We saw an increase last week of about 86 more students a day than we'd had year to date, which is awesome. That was the big goal for National School Breakfast Week, was to really try and get some students in the door that don't normally eat breakfast. And hearing from my managers, they're like, yeah, I saw a lot of new faces, which I was really excited about. It was a grand total of 547 students daily last week. And every time a student got a reimbursable breakfast, they got an entry into our giveaway. So, excuse me. Some of our prizes, so the elementary prizes included a Squishmallow. That's that little orange carrot. I thought was just so adorable. That was a big hit at the elementaries, that the kids were like, I want the Squishmallow. We did a sports balls prize pack and then an outdoor fun prize pack. So, and that's one prize each for each of the elementaries. And then the high school and middle school prizes were a $20 Pulp gift card donated by Pulp Madison, a Stanley Cup, because we got to stay on the cusp of what's popular with the kids,
Yes.
and then a Madison sweatshirt blanket. So those prizes were all drawn today. If you want to flip to the next slide. Winners at the high school were Sadie C. Rutkowski, Skylar Soka, and Dylan Favors. Our middle school winners were Temperance Caudill, Alejandro Elias, and Johnny Jornholm. North winners were Aiden Buhner, Noah Buhner, and Zariah McRoberts. I promise I shook this up so well. I even was like, I really just picked two kids in the same household. And then at South, our winners were Adonis Blair, Bentley Card O'Brien, and Alexandra Mallory. So our grand prize, we saved the best for this meeting here, was 6 months family membership for the YMCA, donated by the YMCA, which was awesome. I was so excited when I called and I said, hey, I'm looking to get a membership to give away. And the director at the East End was so excited. He said, I'm absolutely happy to donate that for you guys. So Ms. Smith, if you wouldn't mind drawing out of the big bucket here. So,
All right, let's see. Vargas, Maryville, grade 4 at NES.
awesome. Awesome. So Maribel Vargas, fourth grader.
Yay.
So that's a make sure that they get.
That's a good prize.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, yeah.
Glad it wasn't the Angela fund you pulled out.
Yeah. Nice. I'm never gonna live that one down.
All right. And with that, that concludes my presentation. If you guys have any other questions, I'm happy to answer them now. But you can always feel free to reach out to me, phone, email. My office is down the hall. I'm happy to, like I said, field any questions or comments or anything.
Excellent, thank you.
Very well done.
Very
Thank
well
you.
done.
Very thorough.
And you do not have to stay till the end if you want to get home to your, okay, that's awesome. All right, I've got a few things under my report this evening. I did want to tell you that when I got to the office yesterday, I did find a letter from the township trustees letting us know that they are going to tip the sheets that went in across from Walmart. The TIF is, I cannot remember the exact, I know the tax incentive district is the village, a TIF is a tax incentive financing district, basically. And they, once the building's up, they can say how much or what percentage they are going to take of our property taxes that we would collect, all entities. So it's not just us. It's Auburn, it's the library, it's everybody that has property tax revenue is receiving this notification. They are going to act on it at their meeting on March 28th. But they give us a heads up that they're gonna do it.
So in essence, the trustees are taking money from the schools for sewer.
That is what they have said they are going to use it for, yes, those improvements along Route 20.
So
So,
everybody knows. Trying to make it clear.
How much is that, do you think?
I don't have it in front of me, but it does tell me,
My meeting's not until the 19th, so.
I have it, I'll put it in Friday's update,
Okay,
exactly what they're proposing. So you'll get a copy of all of that.
But this is not something we would vote on. This
No.
is something that we get notification
Yes,
that the trustees intend to vote on. Presumably, they're going to approve it, but we don't know that until they take a vote, but
They
they've
have been pretty
they've
consistent.
their administrator, I would assume, is the one who has initiated the notice to the district and to all the other taxing
Yes.
authorities.
are we allowed to voice our opinion there?
If you're more than welcome to go to their meeting.
When is it?
It's Tuesday, the 28th. I can't remember the time. Like I said, I'll put everything in there.
Okay,
March, or March 28th. It's not Tuesday, it's Thursday. It's Thursday. But it is March 28th. I'm pretty sure. I read it to you yesterday, Sean, but I can't remember what the date. Like I said, I will put it in Friday's update.
Okay.
You'll give your comment like anybody else would give comment at a meeting if they allow public comment, and we at the very beginning, when they started tipping, we did have the township administrator come in and explain it. This is when Lee Bodnar was the township administrator, so it's been a long time. They've been doing this for, maybe 12 years. I think they've started. you know, one of the big ones that they tipped, and I think Sean was on the board then, was Laurentia.
Yeah.
That was one of the big tips.
How long does that last?
I think theirs is 10 years. Theirs is 10 years. The village is 15 with a sliding scale the last 5 years. So. And theirs is different because they used, in the village, what they asked us to do was basically give the discount to draw the business in. So theirs was used to draw the business in. The tip is after the business is already in, they're not doing anything to discount, you know, getting them in. They're taking the share of the property taxes to make an improvement.
But
And
I
their
mean,
improvement has been along Route 20.
I don't, it doesn't sound right. I mean, I didn't care if we got another sheets or, I mean, they go up all over up and down Route 20 and stuff. I mean, in all these places, it just doesn't seem fair that we're keep losing and losing money. And we're supposed to keep not trying to throw it back on the community. And I'd be curious how much we have lost because of that. And when we can let the community know that, you know, we've lost, I don't know, $250,000 over the last,
We have lost, I mean, it's not a small amount of money to the TIF. Tax incentive district is something the board agreed to do, you know, previous board. So that one's locked in.
but this TIF, I'd be curious, is there a way we could just get a total of how much TIF?
Yeah, we can.
And when they come off,
We
I
have-
mean,
Yeah.
but all these car washes, were they all TIF too?
I think they've tipped every property that's new, yeah.
They use it, don't they use it sort of like an incentive to get the business to come here, first of all, on some of those, right? Is that,
Not
To promote growth.
to promote.
Right,
But
right.
that's
like
what the
being part of-
village did. I think what they have not reduced the taxes necessarily for like sheets.
right? okay.
They've sheets, the property
It
collects.
is the
but-
property tax, okay.
Right. And then they take and put in a fund for every taxing entity, a certain percentage of the tax so that they can put sewers along Route 20. That has been the goal of what they said they were going to use the TIF for. TIF can be for any permanent improvement that the township would want to make.
Prioritizing the improvements. Those are people making.
I think the township would argue that we're not getting anything on these properties until they're developed. Once they're developed, they're just diverting the taxes that would come to us into a fund that will eventually be used for sewers, which if they can get sewers up and down Route 20, then a lot of businesses would be more willing to come in. But in the meantime, we don't collect any of that money. So
Right,
for the schools, it's just a reduction in what we would have finally realized now that there is development. So we're just losing whatever percentage they
Where's the
decide to
ball
tip.
stop? I mean, that's the thing.
Well, sure.
50, I mean.
And I don't think people know that. I don't think people realize,
agree, yeah.
I mean, they were losing money.
Sure. And it's different than an abatement where you're saying, all right, we'll reduce these taxes to attract a business. They tipped Laurentia after it was already built.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Laurentia wasn't getting a tax break. Laurentia's still paying the taxes. It's
Correct.
just that the amount that would come to the schools is diverted to this fund to pay for sanitary service. Or
Or to whatever
whatever
That-
they
that's
decide.
the plan is.
I think they use some of the TIF money to clear out where that gas station was and develop that property because they had bought that old gas station here.
Right at the corner.
Yeah, on the corner. So,
I say we go.
What?
We should go to that meeting.
Yeah, I'd be very interested, you know, at least throw your 2 cents out there and say that this is just not fair. You know, I mean, we're trying not to, we need every dime here in this district. I mean, we're aging fast.
and they're gonna say they need the development to
Right.
grow. So I encourage, I mean, we should have a voice, absolutely. And we've spoke up on a couple. And then we got a couple more and didn't speak up, but yeah, I'm all for at least expressing our concern over, the outcome. Any other questions about that? But like I said, I'll share the whole thing. I've got it in my,
Yeah, because when people
Back
see
and
new
forth,
business
right.
growing,
Yeah.
coming up, they assume, oh, some of that tax money is gonna go to the school, it's gonna go to this, it's gonna go to that. So
well,
that's the thing that we need to face.
well, and I think too, in one of our community newsletters, at least explain,
Yeah,
we could have an article that, oh, well, the school's been getting all this new business, property taxes, and at least explain, well, no, there's,
yeah,
these two different taxing bills out there that take some of that revenue away
a
from
little bit of
us,
transparency would be nice, yeah.
You
on
know,
that end, yeah.
without trying, because
Right, just to explain,
without trying to throw our, partners
Right.
in the community under the bus. I get that we are, frustrated that we're losing revenue, but they do partner with us. We don't pay full cost of everything, SROs. They do absorb
Right.
some of those costs, those kinds of things. And even though the police is, one entity,
Right.
they are governed by they report to the trustees. So,
yeah, it's just as a community partner.
and they'll tell you that, any of their taxing agencies that benefit from that lose it too, because it's across all entities.
Well, it's like when we have new development and people make the assumption that we're gonna get more money on each of these existing levies.
Right,
They see 100 houses get built somewhere and we're not gonna get any more money on any of these existing levies than we create, than when they were originally approved, many of which were in the
Exactly.
80s and 90s. And so it just reduces the effective millage, so just, the end, we collect the same dollar figure.
Right.
And then they see these businesses go up and they say, well, between the new development plus the businesses,
Exactly.
you guys must have a windfall of money. Well, we
And
don't.
that's why,
and then, they just don't know, it's not their fault, but
Yeah.
it's what
Sometimes they
people
don't.
assume.
Well, sometimes they.
Well, yeah.
that's why next week's renewal levy that's on the ballot will collect it less than it did even 5 years ago. I can't remember the exact dollar, it's change, but it is less. If it is passed, it will collect it, property taxes would go down that few
Right.
pennies a month. So. Calendar, we did receive one, email regarding the calendar, so it is, what we did is they asked us to include the dates for, the staggered start week. So we put that on the calendar that is being approved tonight. As well as, when late arrival will begin. Even though we do communicate that in all the back to school information in August. And it is a 2-year calendar. I appreciate the feedback from that community member that sent the email. And we took all those things under advisement to finalize it.
Will that be released to the, sent home or?
Oh, as soon as we approve it tonight, I will put it on the webpage, and then in my next update, it will get pushed out.
Nice.
Okay,
I have a friend that's.
so it will be on the webpage tomorrow, and then it will be pushed out in the next community update, which will be next week.
Okay.
So just to clarify, so parents knew what week kids would be starting back,
Right.
but the staggered start, so whether your kid was in fourth or
Right, we
fifth
were working
grade,
out those details.
that was put out about 4 to 6 weeks before school generally.
Yeah.
The specific day. Now it's put right in the calendar. So
Correct.
that that information is
We
there.
built it right in. Strategic plan. I'm going to do like one last, Infinite Campus Blast, 2 people tomorrow to remind them to do the survey, as well as remind staff that if they want to do the survey, that, it's open through tomorrow. We are then coming together April 2nd, the administrative team, Sean and Michelle is asked to be a part of that. I can only have 2 board members. But then we will also come back and, you know, share with the whole board the work product after, you know, Impact has brought it, you know, finalized all that conversation. And of course, anything's a draft and anything can be changed before we have a full approval of it to, you know, share with the community. I just want to remind everybody, we're in a little weird for the next 3 school weeks. Next week is a 4-day week. We are not in session next Friday. Then we have spring break. And then April 1st is that Easter Monday holiday day off. So we have a 4-day week that week. And then Eclipse Week.
Oh, yeah.
Eclipse Week is finally here after
It
a
seems like
year of
forever we've been
talking,
talking,
right,
yeah.
after a year plus of talking about it, it has arrived. I'm
excited.
actually going Thursday morning. Dave and I are both going to the chamber is doing an event out at the Environmental Learning Center. And we are going to talk about, I think they're having some people talk about eclipse preparations. So I think just about every school in Northeastern Ohio is closed on April 8th. What I think is going to be really interesting is all those people downtown for opening day of the baseball game. Because they haven't canceled that.
No.
But it's
Just
in the
made it
middle of the
later. They
afternoon.
made it later.
Oh, did they make it
Yeah,
later?
yeah,
Yeah,
totally
it's like
eclipse.
4 or
tomorrow.
5, isn't it?
Okay.
Yeah, it's
So they
like
made the
total,
time.
total eclipse of the park, it's called.
So,
I think it's,
They weren't
But-
gonna- they weren't gonna
It
pass
is.
up on that,
no,
unfortunately.
I thought it was brilliant.
In addition to Dr. Baker and the information he's providing, Cindy Chance's 5th graders over at South have been working on things for weeks. So we are going to share some of that with the community and different video links that they've done. You know, Ms. Chance is a space, you know, aficionado, you know.
Yeah.
Mr. Measle used to work with her at North, and she has a passion for all things space science.
Yes.
And so, you know, earlier in the year, she said, I got this eclipse covered.
I
So,
bet she does, in the
you
letter.
know, and I've got to get over and see the kids and see what they've been up to.
Cute.
So, yeah, but at our next board meeting, it will have passed us.
Wow.
Because our next board meeting is April 16th, so the eclipse will be over. Staffing. Kelly talked about her needs, but we are also in dire needs of custodians. I mean, we are down right now 3. And we're trying to get creative. And I am going to probably have that cleaning company come in and do some deep cleaning over all our buildings. I am asking Pat to get me a quote because we've been down 3. Our buildings are seeing the wear and tear of it. So I am going to have Pat get a quote to have that company come in and help deep clean our buildings. Because not only are we down 3 custodians, you know, regularly, but then if somebody's out, we have to pull somebody from another building to clean. And so it becomes a huge issue. And I just, you know, I applaud our custodial staff. They're doing their very best, but, you know, being shorthanded
Yeah, I mean, you can't.
and, you know, you think snow is bad. Thank goodness it wasn't a bad winter and we had to do a lot of shoveling of sidewalks. I don't even think they had to do it maybe but one time, you know, because we haven't had,
It was a very mild
yeah,
winter.
we haven't had a lot of snow. But now it's spring and what do you got? Mud.
Right.
Yeah,
Are they salaried or hourly?
they're hourly.
So do they work overtime or?
They do, and our buildings are used, you know, for basketball
Right,
on the
right.
weekends and those kinds of things. But
I didn't know if there was something.
Yeah.
Restricting us from saying, hey, work more, you know, can you work more overtime?
yeah, I mean, they do get creative.
I
We
got
do that. So, you know, there's nothing saying it, but I know we also have a very aging custodial staff. You know, that also is a concern. So we're trying, Dave's working hard to try and find some people to you know, help fill those gaps.
Word of mouth seems to get us more viable candidates, you know, so when we do post them out to the district, we say, if you know anyone who may be interested
Right.
in this type of full-time benefits paying
Yeah.
work, please reach out to us. And we have gotten some, you know, good quality people to interview.
And we have talked to Sean about trying to set that up, Ohio Means Jobs and, you know, getting a job fair going. But again, part of that is, you know, resources here. There's only 3 of us here in central office that are able to do some of this work, and, you know,
Right.
it's day-to-day operations of the district plus other surprises that come up. So, you know, we're gonna figure this out, because I don't want to go into summer not having enough staff to clean our buildings.
Right.
Because we do need to, we need to make sure that's done. I do want to try and bring at the April meeting, because we've had a lot of success within our winter sports program, our winter sports teams, and I'm not going to try and rename everybody that I put in every community update. But like I said, we've had a lot, so I'd like to bring them to the April meeting and recognize them for their achievements. We've
I
had
love that.
state wrestlers, we've had, you know, the girls basketball, you know, our first year coach did a phenomenal job. You know, the boys shared, the basketball team did a share of the CVC Lake Erie Division League.
Didn't track do some stuff too? I thought.
Indoor track, we had one buddy place 5th at state. We had a group of students go down as state wrestlers. We had state swimmers. There was a 4-man relay race that went down. And we did have our competition cheer team. Yeah,
So we might need to move it.
we might have to,
Like
you
we
know,
did.
go back to the high school for
Yeah,
that one.
I think that worked out real well.
Yeah, there's a lot of, so
Yeah,
I will
like
work
that.
on that, and that would be the plan for the April meeting. Okay. Dave, you have anything tonight?
Just one thing, today our 11th graders took the ACT. This was the state-sponsored ACT we've been doing for a number of years now. One opportunity at no cost to 11th graders to take a crack at the ACT. Hopefully, you know, they get a result that they like, but if not, it was a great opportunity to try it once, and then they can take it again as often as they would like
How
to.
long does it take to get through it?
Boy, I don't know how long, I don't recall how long. It's not long.
No, I
It's
come
not long.
back because it's online.
Mhm.
Oh,
Maybe
yeah, it's
by
not the old, fill the bubbles.
Yeah, it comes
Yeah.
back. I remember last year being surprised it was back already, so I couldn't tell you
Yeah,
exactly.
no, that's all right. I was just.
But yeah, it went very well. I know normally our guidance counselors are a big part of the planning of that. Julie Beam was not able to participate in that because her daughter is a junior and there's a conflict of interest and she has to stay clear of it. So Caroline Quinn, who's our other guidance counselor, really stepped up and did a great job. And Deb from my office, Deb Richardson, had worked very closely with her. And
Nice.
so yeah, it went very, very smoothly today, and it was a good day at the high school.
Are you ready for the recommendations? All right. And the recommendations under the employment motion, we are asking you to approve the unpaid leave request of Amy Phelps, intervention specialist at South Elementary from May 2nd, 2024 through May 28th, 2024. We're asking you to accept the resignation of Nanette Wallace, nutrition services cashier at South Elementary, effective February 22nd, 2024. We're asking you to enter into the following employment contracts. Heather X under a long-term substitute teacher contract from April 5th, 2024 through May 28th, 2024 to perform the duties of Amy Phelps. We're asking you to approve each of the following substitute teachers as approved by the Educational Service Center of the Western Reserve or the Madison Local School District's Assistant Superintendent under a 1-year limited substitute teacher contract. beginning with Megan Boggs and ending with Eric Truen, and to employ Justin Lewis as a building substitute at North Elementary School effective February 27th, 2024. Bless you.
I'll move.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Sensi,
Yes.
Mr. Horvath,
Yes.
Mr. Douglas,
Yes.
and Mr. Thompson.
Yes.
Motion passes.
And then the next item on this agenda is our membership to join the Metropolitan Regional Council of Governments in participation in the NeoNet program. I'll let you do a first and second, and then I'll explain this.
I'll move.
Second.
All right, what this is a resolution to join this Council of Governments because our ITC, our technology, Information Technology Center, LGCA, is no longer going to exist after this fiscal year. And so we need to find an ITC that can provide us services for things like that help to with processing payroll, right? You use some, quite a few treasurer's services. We use it for our EMIS, those types of things, the things we've done through LGCA, all the data that we have to submit to the state has to go through an ITC. Infinite Campus, they are gonna, take over the running of that. So we have, in looking at the ITCs out there, the people that have been in LGCA have all agreed to go to NeoNet. And they will then provide those services. So NeoNet is one of the larger ITCs. So we will see some discounts on some services from what we were paying from LGCA. And Sarah and I actually have a meeting tomorrow with their chair of their board, which is a superintendent from Summit County, and the director, Matt Godovan. So I will update you in Friday's newsletter about the outcome of that meeting. And this would take place July 1 at the end of the fiscal year. Questions?
Roll call.
Mr. Horvath,
Yes.
Mrs. Sensi,
Yes.
Mr. Douglas,
Yes.
and Mr. Thompson.
Yes.
Motion.
The next is one of my favorite resolutions of the year. It's the resolution recognizing and honoring students selected for Madison chapter of the National Honor Society, and each student that is on this resolution will get a copy.
I'll move.
Second.
Any discussion?
No. So the ceremony is next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday,
Is it in the evening?
yes, I think 6 o'clock,
At 6 o'clock?
yes. I think the Horvath should know.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's,
I see it.
I knew March 19th.
Yeah, but what, the time, he was asking the
Oh,
time,
that
I
I
was like,
couldn't
yeah.
tell you. That I couldn't tell you.
Wings get in the eye.
Was I right, 6 o'clock? Yeah. I know who to go for. But we had an increase in numbers this year. We did make a change, 30 juniors, and we decided we started inducting sophomores. And the thought the advisor had was that, senior year, if you're inducting seniors that didn't make it their junior year, they're really only going to be in it for a month or two, and they're not really going to reap the benefits of what National Honor Society is. Because it's not just an academic, society. It's talking about all the different pillars of character, scholarship, leadership, all, it's multifaceted. And she has done a lot of work with both Mrs. Grau, with both National Junior Honor Society and National Honor Society, where she's bringing them together and they're doing service projects that are to make the community better, not just service hours, but service projects.
Nice.
So I applaud the work she's been doing with both groups. And she inducted a large group last night at the middle school.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Sensi,
Yes.
Mr. Horvath,
Yes.
Mr. Douglas,
Yes.
and Mr. Thompson.
Yes.
Motion passed.
All right. And the next motion on the item on the agenda is to adopt the school calendars for the 2024-25 and 25-26 school years as presented for first reading at the February 8th, 2024 regular meeting.
I'll move.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Horvath,
Yes.
Mrs. Sensi,
Yes.
Mr. Douglas,
Yes.
and Mr. Thompson.
Yes.
Motion passed.
All right, and then finally, we have 3 items on the consent calendar this evening. To enter into a proposal between Madison Local Schools and Borgman Athletic Groups to provide preventative maintenance safety inspections on indoor athletic equipment in the buildings at a cost not to exceed $6,930 pursuant to the agreement on file at the board office. To enter into an affiliation agreement between Madison Local Schools to provide an educational environment for Kent State University healthcare program students, automatically renewing every year for the next 5 years pursuant to the agreement found on file at the board office. And then to enter into an agreement between the Madison Local Schools and the Northeast Ohio Network for Educational Technology, NeoNet, provide internet access to the district with an E-rate subsidy pursuant to the agreement on file at the board office.
I'll move.
Second.
Right, and I just want to clarify, you approved the membership to NeoNet.
Right.
This, we had to, because LGCA was closing, we had, and they were our internet provider. We had to go back out to bid for the internet services. And so we had to do another E-rate special for that. And we are going to get, over the next 5 years, it's going to be, a much higher, we're going to be at 10 gigabyte, which right now I don't even think we're at 1 gigabyte. So look at him saying that's a good thing. We're going to be at 10 gigabyte, starting July 1 through NeoNet over the next 5 years.
Nice.
And that is at a reduced cost because E-rate reduces that cost by 60%.
Any additional discussion? Roll call?
Mrs. Sensi,
Yes.
Mr. Horvath,
Yes.
Mr. Douglas,
Yes.
and Mr. Thompson.
Yes.
Motion passed.
All right, we do have a need for a brief executive session this evening. So do I have a motion to move into executive session for the purposes of the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of public employees or regulated individuals, or the investigation of charges or complaints against a public employee or regulated individual unless such person requests a public hearing?
I'll move.
Second.
Any discussion? We will not be conducting any business when we return from executive session. We'll simply be adjourning, and we don't expect to be in executive session more than about 10 minutes. Roll call?
Mrs. Sensi.
Yes.
Mr. Horvath,
Yes.
Mr. Douglas,
Yes.
and Mr. Thompson.
Yes.